All right, let's talk about Travon Walker, the edge rusher for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who, I think we need a bit of a history lesson here before we get too far into it. Travon Walker, if you don't remember, picked first overall in the 2022 NFL draft, despite the fact that he had very poor advanced analytics. A lot of people liked his athletic upside and even certain splash plays that you saw on film, albeit not a ton of consistent splash plays you would see on film. Last season, he still did have, the occasional splash play, specifically beating up on tight ends. In the running game was kind of his main calling card, but the advanced analytics were still very poor. So how has he looked now? One of the things I talked about personally, despite being a pretty big hater of Travon Walker, was that he's just a project and he's going to take some time. Even if you are someone like me who just did not like that draft pick, totally have to acknowledge that it could work out in the future. It just might take some time for him to develop. So, okay, year two, how has Mr. Travon Walker developed so far for Jacksonville just 3 weeks into the season? Well, let's look at his Pro Football Focus grade. His overall grade has somehow gotten worse here, which is not ideal. Amazingly, 90th best last year and now 90th best this year. So at least that's, consistency. One thing that is worth noting, though, and kind of an odd thing, is what was always talked about with Walker is that great run defender struggles in the pass rush game, which isn't really true. He was better at run defense than pass rush at the college level, but he was never great at either. Again, at least, stats wise and consistency wise. You look at his grades this year, though, and it has flipped. His run defense has actually been the bad spot of his game, 92nd according to PFF in terms of run defense grade, 65th in terms of pass rush grade. Listen, this is just, PFF. It's just one company's opinion on how he played. It is not an exact science, but it's just a jumping off point here. Has played well in coverage for whatever that's worth, but as a whole, still not spectacular. Although, again, you could say that having an above average pass rush grade at, 62.1, just slightly above, kind of what you expect an edge rusher to get, that's still a step in the right direction, right? Well, it is, but at the end of the day, these are just grades. Let's watch some film. Is it better than what these grades suggest? Is it worse than what these grades suggest? Well, in some ways, both. So going over here, what's going to happen is this is going to be it's a stunt, which to me, I think Jacksonville should do far more frequently with Walker. Again, I know you don't love to do this because it can leave you open in the run game, but I like these plays as it can result in quick pressures. Of what you do is you're going to have Walker, go around in between the center and the left guard. That's where he's going to try and get through. As Jacksonville is going to purposely try to clear out that area, hopefully get a straight shot to the quarterback, and it's going to kind of work. Watch Walker. Again, he has that incredible speed. That's part of why he got drafted, right? He basically had the athletic measurements of like a cornerback, despite the fact that he plays edge rusher. He's right here. You have a halfback ready to block him. This is the kind of thing that, quite frankly, if you're going to be just a good edge rusher, I don't need you to be a superstar, but if you're just going to be a good edge rusher, you gotta do something here. Instead, Walker actually gets pushed out of the way pretty easily, which is weird because I feel like the one thing that I've usually kind of praised Walker for is when he has mismatches at the NFL level, he has taken advantage of those mismatches pretty well. In this game, he didn't always. Sometimes he kind of did. Like going over here, this is a good example of, one-on-one against a tight end. Kind of what I said, these are the kind of things that he typically does a pretty good job of. Is he is still so powerful that there is still value in a Travon Walker, 100%. I've never said that he's a non-valuable player. That's not how I view him, and you're going to see him add value here. Watch as Walker is going to just really drive that tight end back to the point where, okay, you have collapsed the pocket right here. Now, Stroud still has time to make this throw, but still there is value in a guy who can do this kind of thing, who can just drive a tight end, 7 yards further into the backfield. Stroud makes this throw. Maybe you would have liked to see Walker find a way to, at a certain point, get away from the tight end and get to Stroud. Sure, but again, this is why people kind of, in some ways, fell in love with Travon Walker. He can do this kind of thing, and if you can just teach him the technique to get past and get to the quarterback, he could still be successful. He's just not there yet. Going over here is another interesting one where it's going to be you have a fullback going up to block Walker in the running game. And this is when I talk about splash plays, this is what I talk about. Watch what he's going to do. Right off the bat, fullback doing a good job, getting, his pad level in a good spot, getting over to try and block Travon Walker. But Walker did a couple things really nice here. First, the way he sped up, took a couple of steps forward and met the fullback to where you're not further down the field for the running back. You're already having to make a decision basically the second you get the football. Pierce tries to go to the outside, but Walker is able to reach his hands out and make that tackle. That's a great play from Travon Walker. He will make some great plays. There's no denying that, and this is a great play in the running game. The issue with Walker has always just been consistency. He doesn't win often enough to really, justify the first overall draft pick, and so far it still hasn't happened. But at least he is someone who is, winning. At the same time, though, I think a fair counter-argument is, well, when you're out there for enough snaps, you are going to eventually get some wins. And for someone like Travon Walker, who his wins look so impressive, he might have only half the wins as someone else, but his look more impressive. So if you're just kind of casually watching, you're more impressed with him than the other player who actually added more value to your football team. At the end of the day, the goal is not to get more highlight reel level plays, it's to get more wins. Like this play is another just play we have to talk about, where what's going to happen on this one is you're going to have once against a tight end. I didn't do this purposely, but I didn't have a single tackle block him one-on-one. I'll just say it. Tackles usually blocking Walker one-on-one would win. That's just usually what would happen through 3 weeks. Again, you can look at the stats if you don't want to just take my word for it, or you can just take my word for it, or watch the film, whatever. But that's how I saw it. Watch how right at the bat, Walker definitely surprised by this tight end, which it was a pretty good fake. I can't crush him for that too much, but still, again, something you would like to see him maybe notice a little bit more. And then watch how he just gets completely shoved out of the way. I mean, look at how long this play goes on for, and Walker still, never is able to really make an impact on that one. That's not ideal for him, given the way that play concept worked. Again, it's one play. Guys get fooled. This happens to everybody, right? You can find Myles Garrett having this happen against him. Maybe not Myles Garrett. Okay, that happens to everybody except for Myles Garrett and TJ Watt, right? This happens. It is what it is. It's not the end of the world. But the reality is, just like how I'm not going to freak out about the second to last play I showed you, where Walker had a really good play, but he doesn't do it consistently enough. Same thing with this one. It's one play. You can't freak out about it. It's not something that consistently happens, but this one happens far more than the good. It just does. My job is always kind of weird here, where I almost sometimes try to not even look at some of the feedback that I receive, just because, although I do like to read my comments because I like hearing what you guys have to say, it's always a little bit weird, though, because sometimes I'm just like, I feel like for every single player, like, I'm sure I could make a Nathan Peterman video of why he wasn't good, and someone would say, actually, no, he was good. That's just how my job works, is everyone always has every opinion. So, it is what it is. So if you're someone who believes he's good, then okay, I can't convince you. But the way I view this, the way I analyze players, is I look at how your tape looks. I look at how your overall stats look. Are you winning consistently? Those are the things that I value. He is just someone who statistically does not win consistently. The tape, while the highlight reel level plays are impressive, he does not win consistently in an impressive manner. So through 3 weeks in his second season, no, I have not been impressed with him. And especially when you see what Aiden Hutchinson is doing over in Detroit, I mean, the fact that, he's looking like an awesome player and Walker just isn't, it has to sting a little bit, especially the best thing for Walker right now is they really don't have much depth, so he still is easily the best guy they can throw out there next to Josh Allen, but it's not looking great. But again, like I said, my guess was year 3, honestly, would be the year that he would take a step forward if he does. So we're not there yet. We have plenty of time still. But, figured to make a video just saying, he's someone who, if you follow the channel a lot, I talked a lot about at the draft process. I was not a fan, and so far it has been for a valid reason, but we'll see. Because one thing I have always maintained is just because he's very raw on a project doesn't mean he can't succeed. So, those are kind of all of my many thoughts on Travon Walker and what I've seen from him so far. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.